Прошу вас. Добрий день, друзі. Вітаю вас у медіа.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Ukraine Media Center. We are supported by the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine and Ministry of Internal Affairs of Ukraine. We are glad to welcome you here almost every day in our studio where our journalists can get most up-to-date news from our speakers. I'd like to remind you that also we are present in Lviv with our media center, so you're welcome to monitor our announcements. I will briefly cover our schedule for today. Right now in our studio we have Deputy Head of National Police in Kyiv province, MAKSYM OCHERETIANYI, and the topic of our today's briefing is the current situation and renewal of police operations in Makariv and Irpin, and operations of national police units in Kyiv province, and evacuation of peaceful civilians. Our next speaker will be at 2 p.m. She will be the parliament member, Maria Mezentseva, and we'll discuss with Maria war crimes against women and children. Again, very relevant topic, so you're welcome. And at 3 p.m. we'll have Speaker of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, Colonel Alexander Matuzyanak. He will tell us about the current situation on front line. Maxim, you're welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity for me to speak here, to share the information that we now have about Kyiv Oblast, Kyiv province. I'd like to emphasize that currently there is still shelling every day, and in the last day we have had almost 100 reports from civilians about such events, and police in Kyiv province continues to operate in a high alert mode and provide police services and perform its duties, which are not only about evacuation, but about assisting the citizens. It starts with humanitarian assistance, support for local self-government, and for lay people, usual people who approach us. I'd like to say that since the beginning of military hostilities, police in Kyiv province has got more than 3,000 reports, and we respond to all of them, and we continue to register criminal offenses committed by foreign troops in the territory of Ukraine. Criminal offenses, because every day our citizens approach us for assistance, and we register all those events, and we assess them in legal terms, and we instigate criminal proceedings. And I'm sure that over time, when this war is over, then not only those actions in Kyiv province, all those crimes and all those brutal actions, but all those actions committed by those military people, or I wouldn't even call those guys military people, because every day we, the police, hear stories from lay people, various stories about this war, and currently our police has been working, and I'd like to reassure you that we work round the clock, even in the night time, even when it's dangerous. Everybody knows which phone number to call, especially that we have established very close communications with all local self-government authorities, territorial defense, and other military units. So the police continues its work, and I'd like to reassure you that there is order, proper order in Kyiv province. The situation is stable and controllable. It's under control. Difficult situation, unfortunately, but under control. Would you please tell us, if possible, a couple of words about Irpin and Makariv, and what about evacuation? Do you manage to evacuate more people? Are there any problems with evacuation? Thank you for this question. Of course, there are problems with each and every evacuation event. We have to understand that it's not only something that the national police is doing, but it's about our cooperation with the state emergency service. They heroically perform their duties and evacuate people. Same way, similar way, local self-government authorities do make every effort to evacuate people, to provide them with humanitarian assistance. People need it in those territories where there is no assistance. And generally, for almost 2 weeks, we have been working almost practically non-stop, and we carry people to safe places. We know that such evacuation is taking place in Brovary district. Before that, it was done in Bucha district, and almost all across Kyiv province, where we have those combat hostilities, combat actions. And there are difficulties, first of all, about transportation, about roads. Second, it's about military hostilities, war hostilities. And every time people risk their lives, especially our people from State Emergency Service, drivers, late drivers, I'd like to say to thank drivers because they're heroes. And we understand that many roads are in bad condition here, and we understand that there are mines and everything, and there are some failures, of course, because there is shelling from time to time, and all citizens have, of course, been eagerly waiting for our buses, waiting evacuation, but it does not always succeed. But generally, evacuation is carried out almost every day, and we try to do it in the shortest time frame possible and provide medical care to people whom we evacuate. And basically, there is information we get from citizens. It's not only about evacuation, but about all stories we hear, and it's about brutal crimes against innocent civilians. You know, it has no justification. No civilized person would be able to understand it. How can it happen in our time? How can it happen? Not to mention theft, because theft happens every day, and virtually every person who evacuates, people leave some. Russians steal some things from people. Usual things, but these are usual things for us. For somebody, it's precious: mobile phones, vehicles, and so on. And unfortunately, it's all accompanied by violence, by brutality, and even killings sometimes. It's very important. I would not even call those Russian people military people. They are not military. They're just murderers. They try to somehow use this local population to feel stronger. Unfortunately, it happens. Also, we provide people with medical care, and we evacuate them to safe areas in our province and generally our country. I'd like to say that we have been fully supported not only by local self-government authorities, but also law enforcement agencies have been supported by usual citizens in various regions. And that's about heroic actions by all our citizens. People do respond, and people provide accommodation, and that's what we happen every day. And I would like to thank everybody for this understanding. Thank you, MAKSYM. We have all read some news from Ms. Prosecutor General about the first criminal case about rape. Could you please cover it a bit? As far as I understand, that's you, the police, who started this criminal case. Yes, indeed, there has been this criminal investigation, criminal proceedings. We have identified the person who committed this crime, this brutal crime, and we notified that person of the suspicion in absentia, and of course we understand that we have to carry out a number of investigative activities. But about this brutal crime, yes, it did happen, and it has been registered and documented by our officers in Kyiv province, and we have registered this criminal case. Everybody knows about things that happen. Unfortunately, such things do happen. This is just the first case. I'm sure that we will continue documenting, registering such cases when we get information from our citizens, and this will not be the only case. About these criminal proceedings, yes, it was initiated by the Kyiv province police staff. Our officers use information we get from messengers, from mass media, from all sources, and we have this criminal case. Thank you, MAKSYM. Dear journalists, you're welcome to ask your questions. If any, you're welcome.
My name's Tim Judah. I work for The Economist and the Financial Times. I'd like to ask you about the confusion about what's happening in Makariv, because, as you know, the Ministry of Defense said that Russian forces have been pushed back and the flag was flying again in Makariv. I tried to go yesterday but couldn't get in because of the fighting. But I talked to the mayor, and the mayor said at the end of February... Do you want me to repeat? Do you want me to repeat? Okay. So I've now lost my train of thought. The Ministry of Defense, after your boss had been to Makariv, he said that the Ministry of Defense said that the Russians had been pushed back and that the flag was flying again over Makariv. Yesterday, interviewing the mayor, he said actually the Russians had come into Makariv at the end of February. They'd taken 15% of the town, and they still occupied 15% of the town. So in fact, they've there's been no movement at all of Russian forces. So could you clear up the confusion about what's actually happening there and what's been said about Makariv? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. First of all, whatever is about Makariv and combat action in Makariv, unfortunately, I cannot comment on that. There's no mess, actually. You have to trust the information provided by official sources. Currently, actually, in Makariv, you have to understand that police has been operating there, but police does not operate in its usual routine mode like you usually see police on the streets. But police is there. All the other things, and including the combat action, combat operations in Makariv and around Makariv, I am sure that over time you will get more detailed information. Another important message I'd like to get across to you is that it's dangerous not only in Makariv. You should not treat it like this, okay, we liberated Makariv and so it's safe now. You know, combat action, combat operations continue, and it is dangerous, and it is dangerous not only for the civilians, also those people whom we evacuated from Makariv itself, but it's also dangerous for those people who try to get there. So I'd like to emphasize again that all those movements in that territory, whatever information you get, they should be coordinated. It's first of all about safety, safety above all.
I just want to point out that official sources are saying things that are contradicting each other. Okay? That's the point, that's the question.
I will answer. You have to understand that the situation may change every 5 minutes. You have to understand that the information provided is provided in the amount it should be provided, no more than that. You have to understand that in the same way, you know, there's this information you get from official sources, but others hear it, including our enemies. So I would not like to comment on that situation and to discuss contradictory and whatever. That's war, and the combat actions are still there. It's not about contradictions. It's about the citizens being there in Makariv and about their safety and security and about safety of people who try to get there. So, you know, that's not the question we have to discuss now. Most importantly, police is present there, I would like to emphasize. Most importantly, all local self-government authorities and local military and provincial military administration is aware of all those problems in that district, and everybody makes every effort to maintain peace and make it as much as possible for those people staying there. Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? I'm Zbigniew Parafinovich from Dziennik Gazety Prawnej Poland. Could you please tell us in details what happened yesterday in Warszawski residential block? What happened? What happened about the killing, the death of that Russian journalist, Oksana Baulina? From which direction was the shelling? From which weapons? More details. Maybe I will come in, I'll jump in. We see the deputy head of police of Kyiv province. It's not exactly his competence. Maybe you will be able to say something, MAKSYM, but I understand that it's a different area, different territory of responsibilities. If you have any questions about Kyiv Oblast, Kyiv province, you're welcome to ask those. But it happened in Kyiv. In Kyiv, yes, it happened in Kyiv. Kyiv is different. Kyiv is a different unit. For you to understand that police of the capital city of Kyiv is a different unit. They have a different boss and different people. If you have any more questions about Kyiv province, you're welcome.
My name is Matej Schulz. I'm from Slovak television. Today is 1 month since the Russian invasion started. Can you comment on this 1 month? What all happened? How you see that, and what do you see for the future?
Thank you for your question. I'll answer briefly. Our armed forces are the best forces worldwide. And what will happen in the future? In the future, there will be victory, and there will be liability. Somebody will be brought to liability. I mean, those people, those, I would say, non-humans who committed those crimes in Kyiv province, and all those crimes will have been documented, and every criminal will have been identified, and after war will bring to liability every murderer, rapist, and murderer, and we will win. Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, MAKSYM. Thank you, friends. And I'd like to remind you that our next briefing will happen at 2 p.m. And you're welcome. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you.